3. Look up into the night sky on a clear, dark evening. When we gaze into that vast blackness, we are not just looking across empty space. We are looking backward through time. 3. The light reaching our eyes from the farthest stars has traveled for billions of years across the cosmic void just to reach us. But there is a strict limit to what we are allowed to see. A profound physical boundary. We call it the edge of the observable universe. It is a massive sphere, roughly 93 billion light-years in diameter. Beyond that absolute horizon, 3. The light simply has not had enough time since the fiery birth of our cosmos to reach our telescopes. But I want you to ask yourself a very simple question. 3. What happens when you step across that boundary line? Does reality just abruptly end in a cold wall of nothingness? Absolutely not. 3. The mathematics of modern cosmology tell us a story that is far more breathtaking. The space beyond our observable bubble does not stop. It stretches onward, perhaps infinitely. 3. And hiding out there in that unseen, silent expanse, shielded by the sheer unimaginable scale of the cosmos, something unimaginably ancient may still exist. 3. We are talking about physical structures and relics from a time before our universe even cooled down into the stars and galaxies we know. 3. Leftovers from a cosmic epoch so violent and raw that it completely shatters our everyday logic. Today, we are going to walk right up to the edge of everything we know. And then, 3. We are going to take a bold step past it. If you are ready to unravel these deep cosmic mysteries with me, 3. Make sure you subscribe to Brian Greene Theory right now so we can keep exploring the true nature of reality together. The universe we see is just a tiny, fragile fraction of the grander whole. 3. And to understand what lies waiting out there in the dark, we first have to understand how we got trapped inside this bubble of light. Imagine standing on the deck of a solitary ship drifting in the dead center of a vast, calm ocean. As you look around, the sky meets the water in a perfect, unbroken circle. That circle is your horizon. 3. It is a strict physical limit on what your eyes can perceive. If another ship is sailing just 1 inch past that line, it is completely invisible to you, hidden by the curvature of the earth. 3. But your rational, mature mind tells you something vital. The ocean does not suddenly cease to exist just because your vision fails. The water rolls on deep and wide, far beyond your horizon. 3. Our universe operates on the exact same principle, but instead of the curvature of the earth, our cosmic horizon is defined by the absolute speed limit of reality itself, the speed of light. 3. Light is astonishingly fast. It races through a vacuum at almost 300,000 kilometers per second second. But critically, that speed is not infinite. 3. It takes time for light to travel from one place to another. When you feel the warmth of the sun on your face, you are not feeling the sun as it is right now. 3. You are feeling sunlight that is already 8 minutes old. You are feeling the ghost of a past event. When you look up at the nearest star system to our own, Alpha Centauri 3, you are seeing light that has been traveling across the dark void for over 4 years. Now let us scale this up to the ultimate limit. Our universe was born in a tremendously hot and dense state roughly 13.8 billion years ago. Because the universe has a finite age, the light from the most distant objects has only had 13.8 billion years to reach our telescopes. You might think this means our observable universe is a sphere with a radius of 13.8 billion light years. But the truth is far more complex, and it requires us to completely break our everyday intuition about how space works. Space is not an empty static theater where events simply happen. Space is a dynamic living fabric, and ever since the beginning, this fabric has been stretching. It has been expanding. Think of a loaf of raisin bread rising in an oven. As the dough bakes and expands, every raisin moves away from every other raisin. The raisins themselves are not swimming through the dough. The dough itself is swelling, carrying the raisins along for the ride. 3. In our grand cosmic loaf of bread, the galaxies are the raisins. Space itself is the dough. Because space has been stretching for nearly 14 billion years, the objects that emitted the light we are just now seeing have been carried incredibly far away from us. Today, those ancient galaxies are located about 46 billion light years away in every single direction. This gives us our magnificent observable bubble, a colossal sphere roughly 93 billion light-years across. Within this bubble, we have mapped hundreds of billions of galaxies. 3. We have traced the faint radiation afterglow of the Big Bang itself. We feel confident in our understanding of how stars and cosmic structures formed, but we must remember our ship on the ocean. 3. Our observable universe is nothing more than our line of sight. It is a horizon carved out by the age of the cosmos and the finite speed of light. 3. The fabric of space does not simply tear or end at the 46 billion light-year mark. The mathematics of general relativity and quantum field theory strongly suggest that the dough keeps expanding far beyond our cosmic horizon. It might stretch out for trillions of light-years, or it might be truly infinite, going on forever without any end at all. And this is where our foundation cracks open to reveal a staggering possibility. Because the regions of space beyond our horizon are completely causally disconnected from us. Because no signal or light from them has ever reached us, they are totally isolated. Out there in the absolute dark, unbothered by the cosmic evolution we see in our own neighborhood, they remnants of the very earliest moments of creation might be perfectly preserved. We are not just talking about more stars and galaxies. We are talking about ancient, exotic structures born in the fiery chaos before the laws of physics even settled down. To understand what these ancient ghosts might be, we need to dive deeply into the violent birth of reality itself. Let us travel back in time. Not a few hundred years, not a few million years. I want to take you all the way back to a fraction of a second after the birth of reality itself. At this moment, the universe is incredibly small, unimaginably dense and fiercely hot. It is a bubbling cauldron of pure energy. The four fundamental forces of nature that govern our daily lives, gravity, electromagnetism, and the strong and weak nuclear forces, they do not exist as separate entities yet. In this extreme heat, they are melted together into one single perfectly symmetric master force. But as the universe expands, it begins to cool. And this cooling process is not a smooth, gentle transition. It is violent. Think about what happens when a calm pond freezes over in the dead of winter. The water does not turn into a single flawless block of ice all at once. Instead, ice crystals begin to form at different spots across the surface. These separate crystals grow outward until they crash into one another. And where these different patches of ice collide, they do not align perfectly. They create jagged cracks, trapped bubbles, and chaotic fault lines frozen forever in the ice. I realized early in my career that the universe did exactly the same thing. As the cosmic furnace cooled, the single master force shattered. It separated into the distinct forces we see today. Physicists call this a phase transition. And just like the freezing pond, when the universe went through these rapid phase transitions, the fabric of reality itself cracked. These cosmic cracks are what we call topological defects. They are literal scars left over from the birth of the universe. 3. Imagine a crack in space and time that is thinner than a single proton, but so incredibly dense that a piece of it, the length of a football field, would weigh as much as the entire Earth. Hey, we call these cosmic strings. Or picture massive invisible sheets of concentrated energy stretching across billions of light years, separating different domains of space like walls in a colossal house. Hey, we call these domain walls, or even isolated, incredibly heavy points of magnetic energy that possess only a north pole without a south pole. The legendary magnetic monopoles, these ancient structures, these heavy violent scars of creation should theoretically be everywhere. The mathematics of particle physics practically demand their existence. When physicists first worked out these equations, 3, we expected the sky to be absolutely littered with these ancient relics. But when we look up at the night sky today, what do we see? Nothing. 3, the observable universe seems completely smooth and empty of these monstrous structures. We have never found a single cosmic string. We have never detected a domain wall. 3, the scars of creation are missing. For a long time, this was a terrifying crisis in physics. How could the math be so elegant yet so wrong about what we actually see? Then, hey, a brilliant solution emerged. A concept known as cosmic inflation. Imagine that in the very first sliver of a second after the beginning, space did not just expand steadily. Instead, it caught fire. 3. It underwent a period of violent exponential stretching. In a fraction of an eye blink, space expanded faster than the speed of light. 3. Taking a region smaller than a single atom and blowing it up to macroscopic proportions. This rapid stretching acted like an immense cosmic eraser. It grabbed all those ancient cosmic strings, 3, those heavy magnetic monopoles, and the massive domain walls, and it violently swept them away. It diluted them across a volume of space so staggeringly huge that our entire observable universe, 3, that 93 billion light-year bubble we discussed, is now just a tiny, perfectly smooth patch within a much grander, turbulent whole. 3. This means those ancient structures were not erased from existence. They were merely pushed out of our view. They were swept past the horizon, and that changes everything. 3. Because it means that out there, right now, beyond the farthest reaches of the light we can see, the terrifying remnants of the early universe are still lurking in the dark. 3. We are sitting comfortably inside our 93 billion light-year bubble. We look through our telescopes and we see a universe that makes sense. It is orderly. It is mathematically predictable. 3. The terrifying defects of the early cosmos, those immensely heavy cosmic strings and chaotic domain walls, have been cleanly swept away by the rapid stretching of space. 3. I have spent decades studying this elegant solution, and for a long time it felt like the perfect answer. We were safe. The universe was tamed. But there is a trap hidden inside this elegant solution. 3. When I and other theoretical physicists push the mathematics of cosmic inflation to their absolute limits, a deep, unsettling paradox emerges. Hey, we naturally assume that this rapid stretching of space was a singular temporary event. We think of it as a brief flash of fire in the deep past that eventually burned out everywhere, leaving a calm, a cooling cosmos behind. But the equations do not say that. In fact, they scream the exact opposite. To grasp this paradox, hey, I need you to understand what caused space to stretch so violently in the first place. It was driven by a concentrated form of energy deeply embedded in the vacuum of space itself. Think of it as a heavy, unstable ball perched dangerously on a high, flat plateau. As long as the ball remains high up on that plateau, space is forced to expand at a terrifying exponential speed. 3. When the ball eventually rolls off the edge and settles into a low valley, the stored energy is released. The extreme stretching stops, and a quiet, stable universe like ours is born. 3. If physics were perfectly smooth and completely predictable, this ball would roll down the hill at the exact same time everywhere. But we do not live in a perfectly smooth reality. Hey, we live in a reality governed by quantum mechanics. At the microscopic level, nature is constantly jittering. It is fundamentally uncertain. 3. And these quantum jitters mean that in certain regions of space, the ball does not roll down. Instead, random quantum fluctuations actually push the ball back up the hill, delaying the end of inflation. 3. Here is where the logic breaks your everyday intuition, because the space that is still inflating is expanding infinitely faster than the space that has stopped. Wait, the violently stretching regions quickly dominate the landscape. They outpace the calm regions by a margin so massive it defies human comprehension. This creates a relentless runaway chain reaction. Wait, I want you to picture a vast, endlessly boiling ocean. Our entire observable universe, everything humanity has ever seen, every star, every galaxy, is just the inside of one single, a tiny bubble of steam that has formed this ocean. Inside our bubble, the boiling has stopped. Things have cooled down. The laws of physics are perfectly stable, but outside our bubble, wait, the ocean is still violently boiling, and it will boil forever, constantly spawning new bubbles, new universes for all of eternity. This is the theory of eternal inflation. Wait, and this is the paradox that keeps me awake at night. The exact same mathematical mechanism that cleaned our observable universe, the very mechanism that pushed the chaotic ancient relics beyond our horizon, also guarantees that the process never truly ends. By solving the mystery of our perfectly clean night sky, we accidentally prove that the chaos outside is infinite. Wait, therefore those ancient cosmic strings and massive domain walls are not just sitting quietly in the dark. gathering cosmic dust like forgotten museum pieces. In the raging, inflating space beyond our bubble, and in the turbulent, violent boundaries where different universe bubbles might collide, those ancient structures are thriving. They are constantly being forged and torn apart in the fires of eternal creation. We thought we lived in the entire universe, but I am telling you, we are merely sheltering in a temporary pocket of calm, but completely surrounded by a roaring, eternal storm of ancient, unimaginable physics. I want to push your mind past its breaking point. We have established that we live inside a bubble of calm. 3, surrounded by an eternally boiling ocean of inflating space. Now let us walk together to the absolute edge of our universe and look at the terrifying reality of what must be happening out there. 3, think about the fundamental laws of physics. Since you were a child, you have been taught that gravity pulls things together, that light travels at a fixed maximum speed. 3, and that matter is made of protons, neutrons, and electrons. We boldly call these the universal laws of nature, but when I look closely at the mathematics of eternal inflation, 3, I am forced to realize something deeply unsettling. These are not universal laws at all. They are just our local weather patterns. Imagine you have lived your entire life inside a massive 3, climate-controlled greenhouse, where the temperature is always exactly 72 degrees. 3, you would look around at the delicate ferns and orchids and logically conclude that this is simply how the entire world works. 3, but the moment you step outside that greenhouse into a raging winter blizzard, all your absolute rules instantly shatter. When our specific bubble universe cooled down and stabilized, 3, the laws of physics froze into the exact patterns we experience today. But in that violently boiling ocean outside, countless other universe bubbles are constantly forming and cooling. 3, and there is absolutely no mathematical reason why they would freeze in the exact same way we did. In the next bubble over, gravity might violently repel instead of attract. 3, atoms as we know them might be completely impossible to form. Light might move at a walking pace, or it might not exist at all. Those ancient monstrous structures we talked about earlier, 3, the heavy magnetic monopoles, the colossal domain walls, and the cosmic strings that were swept out of our universe, they might be the standard everyday building blocks of reality over there. Now 3, here is the moment that completely breaks our everyday logic. These universe bubbles are not static. Because the space between them is governed by intense energy, these bubbles are rapidly growing. 3, and when you have an endlessly expanding ocean filled with endlessly growing bubbles, eventually, inevitably, they are going to crash into each other. 3, what actually happens when our universe collides with another universe? It is not like two cars crashing on a highway. It is the collision of two fundamentally incompatible realities. 3, imagine a tidal wave of alien physics crashing into the boundary of our universe. Where the two bubbles intersect, the very fabric of space and time would be violently mangled. 3, the stable laws of physics that keep your DNA twisted together, that keep the Earth orbiting the Sun in a stable ellipse, would fiercely clash with the laws of the neighboring bubble. 3, if a neighboring universe completely filled with ancient cosmic strings and chaotic energy crashed into ours, those ancient relics would bleed straight through the collision zone. 3, they would act like cosmic shrapnel, tearing through the perfectly smooth, stable fabric of our reality. The boundary between their universe and ours would form a massive glowing ring of intense destructive energy. It would be a literal bruise on the cosmos. And the truly staggering part, this might have already happened. We might already have the scars to prove it. 3, when I and other cosmologists carefully map the cosmic microwave background, which is the faint radiation afterglow of the Big Bang, we are looking for perfect uniform smoothness. Hey, but we do not find perfection. We find strange glaring anomalies. We see massive cold spots, colossal regions of space that are completely inexplicably empty and far colder than they should be according to our standard models. 3, some of my brilliant colleagues suggest that these massive cold spots could be the exact physical footprint of a cosmic collision, a massive bruise left behind when a neighboring universe filled with ancient alien physics scraped violently against our own billions of years ago. We used to comfortably think our universe was everything there is. Now hey, we are confronted with a raging multiverse where entirely different realities are rubbing against our own, threatening to spill their ancient, terrifying secrets into our calm, stable world. 3. But as mind-bending as the collision of universes is, there is an even harder truth waiting for us. Because if you truly understand infinity, you realize the greatest mystery is not just what is outside our bubble. It is what infinity means for you personally. I have spent my entire life looking at blackboards covered in equations, trying to decipher the fundamental nature of reality. And I can tell you this, the human mind is not built to understand true infinity. We use the word all the time. We say the universe is infinitely large, or we have infinite possibilities, but we usually just mean something is very big. In physics, true infinity is not just a big number. True infinity is an absolute monster, and it forces a mathematical truth upon us that is so deeply unsettling, it completely destroys our everyday sense of individuality. To understand this hard truth, I want you to think about a simple, ordinary deck of 52 playing cards. If I hand you a well-shuffled deck, the specific order of those cards is unique. If you shuffle it again, you will get a different order. Now, the number of possible combinations in a deck of cards is staggeringly huge. It is an 8 followed by 67 zeros. 3. It is a number so large that if you shuffled the deck 1,000,000 times a second since the beginning of time, you would still not even be close to seeing every combination. But here is the absolute catch. The number of combinations is huge, but it is entirely finite. It has a strict limit, which means that if I force you to sit at a table and shuffle those cards for true literal eternity, you will eventually run out of new combinations. It is a mathematical certainty. Eventually, you will shuffle the exact same sequence of cards twice. And if you keep going forever, you will deal that exact same sequence an infinite number of times. Now, I want you to look around the room you are in right now. Look at your hands. Look out the window. Everything you see, everything in our entire observable universe, is made of a finite number of fundamental particles: protons, neutrons, and electrons. And just like a deck of cards, there are strict quantum rules governing how these particles can be arranged in a given volume of space. The volume of our observable bubble is massive, roughly 93 billion light-years across. 3. The number of particles inside it is a 1 followed by about 80 zeros. 3. The number of possible ways you can arrange those particles is a number so ridiculously large that human language does not even have a standard name for it. It is 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 115. It is a number that breaks the brain just trying to comprehend the sheer scale of it. But just like our deck of playing cards, that number is finite. There is a hard physical limit to how many ways you can arrange the matter in a universe of our specific size. 3. So, what happens when we place this finite deck of cards into an infinite ocean of space? If the grander universe outside our bubble is truly infinite, born from the eternal inflation we just discussed, 3, then space simply keeps going forever, spawning endless observable bubbles. Do you see the terrifying logic? If you have an infinite amount of space, but only a finite number of ways to arrange the particles inside any given patch of it, then the exact arrangement of particles that makes up our universe must inevitably repeat. Not just once, an infinite number of times. I am telling you with absolute mathematical certainty that if space goes on forever, there is an exact physical copy of the Earth out there in the deep dark. And standing on that Earth is an exact copy of you. They are living your exact life, thinking your exact thoughts, and listening to these exact words at this exact moment. 3. Because you are just one specific arrangement of particles, and in an infinite reality, every possible arrangement must happen over and over again. But the mystery deepens even further. Because every physically possible arrangement must exist, there are also copies of you that are slightly different. Out there, right now, there is a version of you who made one different choice 10 years ago. There is a version of you living the life you always wondered about. Your past, your future, and every choice you have ever agonized over They are all physically playing out in real time across the infinite expanse of the cosmos. This is the hard truth of an infinite reality. 3. The universe does not care about our uniqueness. It is a relentless eternal machine shuffling the same deck of cards forever. But where does this leave us? 3. If everything we do is just a repeating quantum pattern in a multiverse we can never touch, what is the point of our existence here and now? I just told you that in an infinitely expanding multiverse, infinite physical copies of you are living out every possible variation of your life. I know how heavy that is. It is incredibly easy to feel entirely insignificant when confronted with that scale. Hey, it is easy to feel like a meaningless speck of dust floating in an endless dark ocean of repeating quantum noise. Hey, if every choice you ever number of times across the void, does anything we do right here in this specific bubble actually matter? Hey, I want to completely flip that perspective for you. Look at exactly what we have achieved together in this journey today. We are merely a collection of protons, neutrons, and electrons that somehow woke up. We evolved on a small rocky planet strictly bound by gravity, constrained by the finite speed of light, and yet, we have figured out how to see past our own absolute horizon. We have used the pure, undeniable logic of mathematics to illuminate the invisible. We have mathematically reached our hands into the violent, eternally boiling ocean of cosmic inflation. And we have identified the ancient, chaotic scars of creation that are hiding just beyond our sight. Think about a single, perfect note played on a grand piano. In a symphony that lasts for absolute eternity, that exact note will inevitably be played again and again. But that repetition does not strip the note of its beauty when you are sitting in the audience, hearing it in the present moment. The music of reality is not diminished by infinity. It is elevated by it. Our universe, with its perfectly balanced, incredibly rare laws of physics, is a beautiful chord struck inside a roaring, eternal tempest of chaotic energy. We are the universe experiencing its own beauty. And this brings us back to those ancient ghosts lurking beyond the edge. Those massive domain walls stretching across trillions of light years. The incredibly heavy cosmic strings thinner than a proton. The strange isolated magnetic monopoles churning violently out there in the absolute dark. They are not just mathematical monsters meant to terrify us. They are the ultimate cosmic Rosetta Stone. If we can definitively prove that one of those ancient structures crashed into our universe, if we can map that cosmic bruise perfectly and decode the strange energy left behind in the cold spots of the sky, we will have done something entirely unprecedented in human history. We will have touched a physical reality that exists completely outside our own laws of nature. We will have looked directly into the fires of creation and finally seen the true face of the multiverse. Unlocking these final mind-bending secrets is not easy. It takes relentless dedication, rigorous scientific analysis, and most importantly, a community of deeply curious minds who are brave enough to push past the limits of everyday logic. That is exactly what we are building right here together. If this journey into the deepest, darkest mysteries of the cosmos has expanded your mind today, I want to invite you to support this exploration directly by using the Super Thanks feature located right below this video. You are not just supporting a channel. You are actively fueling our collective drive to pull back the heavy veil of reality. Every single Super Thanks allows me to dedicate the intense time, research, and resources needed to bring these complex mathematical truths out of the dense academic journals and translate them straight to you without ever watering down the real science. Free. We are standing together on the ultimate shore, looking out over a boundless boiling ocean of endless creation and violent destruction. Free. The ancient relics that exist beyond the edge of our universe are calling out to us right now. They are hiding in the faint afterglow of the Big Bang, and they are whispering through the deepest equations of quantum mechanics. We are closer than any generation before us to finally hearing their secrets.